Well, staying with the independence anniversary celebration, one of the events that highlighted the day was the State of the Nation during the annual celebration is the platform put together by the Covenant Christian Center. Now it's the this year leading economists and also policy analysts. They sat to discuss redesigning the Nigerian economy with new ideas. The convener of the event, Pastor Paul Yemade, asked Nigerians not to allow religion override our ability to think as a nation. Well, with prominent Nigerians making suggestions on how to move the nation forward, let's find out together the presidency response to some of the earnings from Nigerians. We have Dr. Andrew Kwesari, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Agriculture and the Secretary of the National Economic Council of Livestock Transformation Program. We'd like to thank you for joining us. And Mr. Shehu Gebam, the SDP National Publicity Secretary. They both join us from our Abuja studios. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. I'd like to ask, do we need a new economic foundation? And this question goes to you, Dr. Kwesari. A change in our constitution, is that the solution, or a nation-building template for those who feel we have lived divided for too long? Can this be the guarantee to our happiness as a nation?
Thank you. I think it is very clear that at this juncture, Nigerians know exactly, and the president in particular knows exactly what the problem of the country is. So to put it quite simply, the focus is how do we create growth in our economy that also offers jobs. So basically we need to look at the structure of the economy and moving swiftly through strategies that will enable the creation of growth that also accords the citizenry the needed jobs that will therefore close the gap in our per capita income as well as take away people from the streets. So there are many ways to do this, but what is most fundamental, like any other emerging economy, is that Nigeria needs to remain resolute, as indicated in the speech of Mr. President, around our productive segments of the economy. And this, for me, is very clear. How do we then galvanize these opportunities such that the social contract between the government and the citizenry is harnessed or is cemented? Because what is needed is what the government is focusing on now, that the delivery of the policies of government directly impacts on the aspects of the economy that create jobs. And we know this from basic understanding of how economies develop, that your best opportunity is taken when you can align your current human capital to utilize resources that can be produced by this human capital and then immediately use it to add value. So that value addition around areas like agriculture, solid minerals, the entertainment industry should remain the focus. Let's
quickly hear from Mr. Gebam, if you don't mind. Sorry to cut in. Let's quickly hear from the SDP National Publicity Secretary. And the President, in his October 1 speech, talked about change. And members of his Economic Advisory Council, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, said that the National Assembly, the Ministry of Justice, the state governments and others have to get seriously down to work in the future. I mean, how serious do you think is this government?
Well, thank you very much. I think the priority of every government is to put its own priority right. In the past, a lot of areas that ought to have been given maximum attention has been neglected, and there was no change, or there's no change at the moment. The areas that the economy needs to have been focused on, like you rightly mentioned, is the agriculture, which lead to diversification from our reliability on the oil. And as it is today, there's not much that has been done in terms of expanding the agricultural activities, in terms of providing basic equipment, in terms of providing some kind of subsidy to farmers who are doing everything humanly possible to put their very best in terms of generating food for the country. And I haven't seen the policy clearly that will indicate that the government are putting such priority into consideration or into operation. I have so much policy coming from the CBN in terms of leveraging on the farmers, in terms of livestock, and so many other varieties that are related to agriculture. For me, I think if the government want to distinguish itself from the previous governments, they must do everything humanly possible practically to ensure that farmers and those who intend to go into different variety of farming activities must be given due attention, must be assisted, there must be urgent intervention. Otherwise, we'll continue going on the same cycle, presenting theories and counter-theories, which at the end of the day will not come into reality. There are so many policies that have come into play, with massive propaganda. Yet, we are still going around same cycle, year after year, after government, one policy to the other, related to agriculture and other critical sectors of the economy. We must go beyond theory presentation. We must be practical in this country. There are vast of land that
quickly
can
react
feed
to
Nigeria.
some of the things you've said. I mean, seeing that he's the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Agriculture, if you can do that, 30 seconds, Dr. Kwasari, react to what he has said and tell us if you see our future without relying on oil.
Well, rightly so. What he talked about, rightly so. He said about what he said about agriculture. But what is fundamental also is to look at the focus of the government. How do we now use agriculture, which everyone agrees to be the main focus through which we can diversify? And I think the federal government now has clearly identified programs that need to be driven from the perspective of getting agriculture as a business and working with the communities. And I'll quickly mention two of these programs that I think will change the landscape of agriculture in this country. There is the initiative, the Green Imperative Initiative, that is being driven through the Minister of Agriculture with Brazil, Islamic Development Bank, and Deutsche Bank. And what does this hope to achieve? Engagement has gone with farmers and with private sector investors to really create service centers that bring technology, bring know-how, and everything that we will now robustly drive services provided to smallholder farmers to be able to capture everything that is grown at the rural community into the value chain of agro-processing.
Dr. Kwasari,
and
I
this
must
directly
give
links
Dr. Gabam his
all of
final
our
30 seconds, looking ahead at the future, and that is also on diversification. Your final 30 seconds, Dr. Gabam, Mr. Gabam.
But, well, listening to the former Minister of Agriculture, Aide Ogbe, and given his commitment to agriculture, one ordinarily thought that within the last 4 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria would have witnessed massive diversification in agriculture, massive commitment in agriculture, engaging the youths, the NYSC, to expand that sector to serve as a substitute to revenue generation for the country. But obviously speaking, if you ask an average Nigerian, an average farmer, he will tell you that he was disappointed in relation to agriculture in the last 4 years, what has happened. I'm hoping that the current leadership, the Minister of Agriculture with the advisor of agriculture to the President, will look into the areas that the former minister have propagated that have not worked, and they will work on that and ensure that what they are saying is going to be practicable, is going to be obtainable.
Thank you, gentlemen.
They should look at our peculiarities
we
as a
need to go at this time,
so
but thank you so much for your thoughts, Dr. Andrew Kwasari, and indeed Mr. Shehu Gabam for joining us. That's how we wrap things up this time. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Nwaka.